Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Israeli B-17G sitting at 5.3 battle rating in the Israeli line. This is the only bomber in rank for Israel, and the B-17s, the flying fortresses, we all know them. They are decent to good as bombers go. They have good armament, they have good durability and all that. Yes, usually good bomb loads, sorry. But it is always the experience of the hunted that you have in bombers in War Thunder. It is not a very appreciated role. Often bombers are seen as flying piñatas, and they actually are because of the setup. It's difficult to defend yourself, and once you get to the bases, especially when you don't have a particularly fast bomber, you will be in trouble from the get-go, because the fighters at this battle rating can climb to the altitude they need to be at to shoot at you before you get to the bases. So you're gonna have planes close to or at your altitude that are coming straight for you, and before you can even throw off the bombs. So it's always difficult. In this match I had a squad, and I had a setup with fighters with air spawns, twin Mustangs and stuff, who were gonna try to provide me with some cover. And well, you'll see how that goes. You still end up with stuff on your ass, unfortunately. And whether that is due to just the bombers being the RP piñatas or my name tag that got the extra attention, it is just the way it is in the bomber experience, I guess. And well, if you have to fly a bomber regularly, you would prefer a quick one, of course. There is that. But let's have a look at those speeds in this B-17. At sea level, without WEP, this plane can go up to 347 kilometers an hour, and with WEP 375. At 4,500 meters, this is 318 without WEP and 341 with WEP. And at 4,500 meters, still go up to 300 without WEP and 322 with. These speeds are okay for these base bombing slow bombers, of course, but you also have Snell bombers and bombers that have more speed than this. It's not the fastest bomber in the world, and it's definitely, for the role designation, it is a base bomber. This is not a column attacker or a plane that you could do other stuff with very easily. It just doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the rip speed, not good in a dive and all that. Yes, this is a plane that you want to get as high as possible. Throw your bombs off, get back to base, do a reload, and then play the gunship role, where you try to shoot people coming at you. But that is not easy, especially at the distances you want to fire at. You want to fire a little bit earlier so that the fighters are not shooting yet. Of course, you also want to shoot when it's close, so you really have to manage your shooting in these kind of planes. In a dive, this plane is not great either. 490 before she redlines, and 530 before she rips apart. That is a very close window, and the dive speed, when the acceleration in a dive is actually decent for this thing. So, that's a very small window, that 40 kilometers an hour. She can also rip a little later, really depends on which angle you have. What G's you are pulling is more important in a bomber for the ripping. But I managed to rip it in my 3 attempts. The earliest one was 530, and in a less steep dive I managed to extend that to 580, but usually you don't control what you do when you get shot, or when you're in a maneuver fight, or when one wing is damaged. So yeah, you got to be careful in dives. Control stiffening in this plane is not really relevant, because the elevator stays functional, and the roll rate, it can't even roll. It just crashes when you try to roll. So you cannot roll it over its axle. It's just not gonna work. You can make turns with it, but rolling over the top is not possible without severely risking death, basically. It's a suicide move. Stall speed in the plane is 160 kilometers an hour. Well, you don't want to take it in the vertical anyway, but 160 is not bad for a bomber, I would say. Acceleration in the plane in a straight line is average, in a dive decent. Energy retention in the horizontal is average, and in the vertical it's bad. Like most bombers, when you take this plane into the vertical, it bleeds a lot of speed in turning as well. So it is definitely slowing you down when you start to make maneuvers in this plane, and she was not a fast plane to begin with. So that is there is that. Now what is a strength of this plane is the turret placement. The turret placement on this plane is excellent. The cover on all sides and towards, it basically covers all angles, and that is good. And most angles are also covered by double guns and double turrets with two 50 cals in there. You have 4 of those. The plane runs with 4 times 2 12.7mm M2 Browning machine gun turrets, double guns, and there is also 5 Brownings 50 cals turrets with a single gun. So yeah, you have 9 turrets in total, and 4 of them are double 50 cal turrets. This is great, and the ammo load ranges between 400 to 600 rounds per gun. And if you just sparingly fire, you can easily avoid the overheating in the guns and the jamming of guns and stuff like that. And the reload. So there is that. I really like the turret placement on this thing. I'm just not quite there yet with my aiming. Although I do manage to get quite a lot of hits and the occasional kill here. But hits and crits is what I get usually. And unfortunately, the killing of the planes that actually attack you, it eluded me quite a bit of time. But that is just, I think it's mainly due to me not having played bombers in a while and still trying to get my gunnery down to perfection, right? If you get it down to perfection with these 50 cals, they can be quite lethal, and they can be quite lethal at a bigger distance as well. Firepower thus in the plane is very good with all those guns, and the ammo loads are excellent. You also have the bomb loads, of course, and this is where the problem starts, because the bomb loads, especially the top loads, are quite limited. This plane starts with 16 times 100 kilograms, then 8 times 250, then 12 times 250, and as the top load you have 6 500 kilogram bombs, and that is not equal compared to the American B-17G, which has 8 1000 pound bombs, and that is 2 bombs extra compared to the 6 times 500. So it's a little bit handicapped, this plane. It runs with a lesser bomb load than the comparatively same plane that is already in game, and that's unfortunate. I don't understand why they do that. I mean, they have to balance stuff out in the end. This is probably the real load that this plane flew with, I think. But Gaijin has blueprint planes in the game, planes that didn't exist, to balance things out. And I think to balance this plane out, they should add 2 500 kilogram bombs to just equal out the payloads here. But that's just my opinion. The climb rate in this plane is decent. Average to decent, I would say. On the higher altitudes it becomes more difficult as the plane starts to overheat as well. Turn time is bad, below average with flaps. The flaps do fly off at around 450 kilometers an hour. So you have that. You don't want to turn with this plane anyway. It's difficult to survive with that. Only if you can make that gunnery while flying in the, or moving the plane while you fly into the gunnery mode. If you can make that work. For me, it doesn't seem to work on my setup right now. Maybe it has to do something with Windows 7. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I can't seem to get the tips that my teammates, my squadron mates give me. I can't seem to make it work. Maneuverability overall is bad. As I said, it doesn't roll, it turns very badly, so that's as bombers go, it doesn't maneuver very well. Overheating is very present, especially on the higher altitudes when using web. It needs management there because it does overheat quite easily. Durability in this plane is excellent. It can soak a lot of damage, and that is quite good. The repair cost is alright. It's a little bit somewhere in the middle. There's nothing wrong with that. But durability is one of its strengths, together with the turret placements, and that's where the strengths lie in this plane. It doesn't have great bomb loads, as I said, because it doesn't compare to the other B-17G that's in the game. And I think for balance sake, they should really just change that. Because there is no reason at all to fly this plane. I should have gotten that guy, by the way. Yeah, I didn't lead correctly. And we died again. That's what happens regularly in this plane. If you don't fly bombers that often, at least. I don't know, the expert bombers could probably do better. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now this B-17G has less bomb load than the American one. Unfortunate, it just has a quarter less compared to the 8 1000 pounders. This one has 6 500 kilogram bombs. And that's just I think balance wise they should add to. I think that would be better. For the rest, the turret placement on this thing are great. It has good cover on all sides, and the 50 cals can be quite effective. I think if I would play it a little more and get the aim on par, you could get a kill or two every match the way I'm playing it now. And if you can combine it with maneuvering, I think it could be slightly better, maybe even. Not every match, of course, because you do get the attention, and the planes at this level, at this battle rating, they climb so good that they will be on your level or close to before you get to the bases. So it's going to be a fight every time, basically. And that can be a little frustrating. But turrets are good, and the durability is good, and that's about it on this plane. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.